You are watching a novice's attempt to explain VBA code from a better place. I'm Serene Haroon. So today I'm going to be showing you a minigame that I made using VBA code and then show you how to make that. So this is the skeleton version of the minigame. I will not be showing you any characters or anything like that. It's just going to show you the basic code and how to code using VBA. VBA is a vast resource within PowerPoint. This is just one facet of something that you could design. If you have an idea but don't know how to incorporate it into PowerPoint, you can use Google, YouTube, Reddit. All those resources can help you and create the effect that you desire within your escape room minigame. So I'm going to show you the minigame I created, and I'm just going to click on this start button here, and this dialog box pops up and tells me, find all the objects that are necessary in a safe room. When you think you have found them all, click on the black arrow on the bottom right. There you will have to match the names of the items you found to common problems that occur in emergencies. If you don't think you found all the objects, you can click the back arrow to look for more. So this is the instructions for the minigame. Obviously, you could give these instructions in a different way, but just for the sake of this skeleton minigame, I put them in a dialog box. So I'm going to click OK, and I'm sent to this slide. And basically, it's a very messy bedroom, and I'm looking for objects that I think are necessary in a safe room. So just for the sake of showing you the other slides, I'm going to click on this black arrow without selecting any objects in this room. And here I have a statement, a common problem that occurs in emergencies. So I have this, the water has been turned off for a day, and I'm tearing my hands up moving all this stuff, and I have these two boxes where I need to input information. However, because I have not found any objects within the room, there's nothing that I can drag and drop. So I'm going to click on this water bottle here, and as you can see, when I click on it, it disappears. And so I'm going to click on the next arrow, and now water is an available choice that I can make. And so I'm going to select water and move it into this dialog box here. And let's say that I think that I'm done. So I'm going to click on this right arrow to the next box, and it says incorrect. Try again. Make sure you have found all the objects that are necessary in a safe room from the bedroom. So I click OK, and so I go back to look for another object. And so let's say this time I find the gloves down here. So I click on the gloves again, they disappear. And so I click on the black arrow once more, and I have this gloves option appears now. So I click on gloves to select it, and I drag it into this box over here. And now I have answered both questions. Hopefully I've answered them correctly. And when I click on the right arrow, it says correct, good job, and I hit OK. And then I'm sent to this good job screen. This could be another mini game or a character talking to the user, anything of that nature, but just for the sake of this skeleton minigame to show you VBA code, I just made a box that says good job, and when I click on that, it ends the slideshow presentation. So basically, I'm going to be showing you how to make this on a slightly larger scale, and then you can incorporate these features into your own escape room. So to start off, I'm going to open up a new presentation. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you how to save the presentation, because you're actually going to have to save it in a slightly different way. So we're going to first go to File, Save As, and I'm going to just save it in this location. And when I save it, under Save As Type, I'm going to save it as PowerPoint Macro Enabled Presentation. And this is the type of presentation where I can have code inside my PowerPoint, and when I save the PowerPoint, it won't just lose the code. It'll actually save it with the code. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then I'm going to actually do one more thing before we get started on making the different elements. So I'm going to click on this, right click on this ribbon up here, and I'm going to click on Customize the Ribbon. And down here on the right, I'm going to make sure that Developer is enabled, is checkboxed, so that we can write some code. So once that is done, we are ready to start creating some elements. Okay, now that I've gone ahead and made the basic elements that I can using PowerPoint, so I've made the Start Game button, I've made the 4 common scenarios that happen in emergencies, and I've made the Good Job scenario. I am actually going to show you how to create the messy room and the objects. So to do that, I'm going to go online to this website called FreePick. It's the same website I used in the last video. And I'm going to search for cartoon messy room. And if you remember, this website has free images that you can use if you attribute them to the author. And it has premium for $10 if you want to use their images without attribution. So I'm going to find a messy room that I like. Let's go ahead and use the same one. So I'm going to click on this messy room. I'm going to download it for free. And I'm going to download it here. So the next thing is to go into PowerPoint and add a new slide up here, change the layout to blank, format the background as that image we just downloaded. Alright, so now that we have this image downloaded, we now have to download the 4 images of the objects that we want the users to find. So we need a flashlight for this one, canned food for this one, a whistle for this one, and a water bottle for this one. So to do that, I'm going to go back to the FreePick website, and I'm going to search cartoon flashlight. And I'm going to pick one that I like. Let's pick this one. I see this nice flashlight that I like. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to download the image with attribution. into my folder. So here is the image that I just downloaded. And as you can see, there is this white background behind all of these objects. So what I'm going to do to fix that is we're going to go to this website called remove.bg. And here we're going to upload our image. And then it's going to remove the background for us. And so I could download this image, or I could copy it. And if I wanted to, I could edit the what it took out, what it removed as the background. And then I can paste it into PowerPoint. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop the image so I only have the flashlight. And I can make it smaller. And let's hide the flashlight right here. Alright, so there is my flashlight. And so I'm going to continue this for the other 3 images: the canned food, the whistle, and the water. Okay, so now that I have the 4 objects inserted, I have the whistle, the flashlight, the canned food, and the water inserted. It's time to move on to the next step. So we're going to go into the Home tab, and under Arrange, we're going to click on Selection Pane. And here you'll notice we have these 4 pictures that I inserted. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename the picture by the object's name. So I'm going to click on the whistle, and I'm going to double click picture 6 and rename it as whistle. So now that we finished that, we're actually done working with this slide. So we're going to move on to slide 3. And we're going to copy these 4 images onto the 3rd slide. And we're going to make them a little bigger. So now that we have brought these other images into the 3rd slide, we're going to rename a couple more things on the 3rd slide. So we're going to rename these 4 questions. So we're going to rename them as the answer. So this would be water, and then underscore question. And so we're going to do that for each of the questions. So now that that's done, we're actually going to start working in the Developer tab. So we're going to open up the Developer tab, and you're going to notice a lot of symbols and things that you probably have never seen in PowerPoint. And don't get too confused, it's okay. So we're going to actually click on this little square here that is labeled as text box Activex control, and it looks like a little box with ABC in it. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to be able to draw like a normal text box. So we're going to insert these boxes right here. And sometimes when you insert this text box, is going to ask you if you want to enable Activex, and you're going to select yes. So once you enable Activex, you're going to make these text boxes on all 4 of your objects. Okay, and we're going to put the little pictures in front of the text boxes. And we're going to be renaming each of these text boxes as the name of the object. So this one would be flashlight underscore choice. And so we're going to do that for each of these new boxes. Okay, so now that we've done that, we are going to make 4 more Activex text boxes. But before I do that, I want to show you what an Activex text box is. So these white boxes here are Activex text boxes. And just to show you the difference, I'm going to create a new text box here. Text box. Okay, so when I go into the presentation mode, you will notice that I can't do anything with this text box. I can't move it, my mouse cursor stays the same, everything. But when I go into the Activex text boxes and I click on them, I can actually type within the text box in presentation mode. So this is what Activex text boxes are. So I'm going to remove this writing that I made. And then we're going to delete that. So now we're going to create 4 more Activex text boxes, and each of these is going to be down here. And so these text boxes are also going to be renamed, and they're going to be renamed as the name of the object that should be in there, and then answer. So now that we've done that, we have 4 more elements to create. So I'm going to zoom out so I can create these 4 new elements. I'm going to go to Home and insert 4 normal text boxes. And in here, I'm going to write the correct answers. And so I'm going to rename each of these text boxes as well. And this one is going to be the name of the object underscore CA, which stands for correct answer. And if you're wondering why we are renaming these text boxes, it's because when we are coding the PowerPoint, you will be coding by using the name of the object that we named here. And so naming these objects can make your code make a little more sense when you're reading through it or trying to debug it, anything like that. So I'm going to zoom back in. And so now I'm going to show you the properties button. And so this button is only in Activex text boxes. You can create this properties button. So in a normal text box, I'll show you with this one over here. In a normal text box, if you want to change the font, you can go ahead and just click on font and change the font. If you want to change the color, you can go ahead and just change the color. If you want to add an outline, you can go ahead and just add an outline. And so it's very easy to change these things with a normal text box. To do it with Activex text boxes, however, it's a little different. So to do that, I'm going to select the Activex text box and I'm going to go into the Developer tab and click on Properties. And so this whole new window shows up. It has a lot of things like the name of the object, the background color, the border color, the font, if you want it left aligned, right aligned, if you want the mouse icon to change, if you want it to say anything, it has the text. So I'm going to start by changing the font. So that's basically all the little things I've changed. So I changed the font and font size. I changed the text align to center. I added a little bit of text here. And I changed the mouse pointer to indicate an arrow. And so the last thing that I changed that I'm going to have to change, and you need to make sure that you change this, is under drag behavior. You want to enable it. So drag behavior on this one, you need to enable it. And so once that is done, this text box is as I want it. And so now I'm going to have to format the other 7 text boxes. Okay, so now I have formatted each of the Activex text boxes. As you can see, I wrote the names of these objects on the right, but I did not write anything in the 4 text boxes on the left, but I still did format them. So we are actually now ready to begin coding. Now, I don't expect you to understand all of the code I'm writing. I will be including this code in the description if you don't want to write it from scratch. However, I will be attempting to explain at least some of the code so that you can sort of understand what exactly I'm writing. So, we're going to click on this View Code button under the Developer tab. And so when I click on it, this window is going to pop up, and I'm going to insert a module. And so this is where I will be writing my code. And so now I'm going to declare 4 variables. And to do this, I'm going to type dim water var as integer. I'm going to declare flashlight var as integer. Going to declare canned food var as integer, and I'm going to declare whistle var as integer. And so I have created 4 variables: water var, flashlight var, canned food var, and whistle var. And so these are variables. And each of these variables will be, throughout the code, assigned a number. And this number will be used in the code to help the computer determine a couple of things. So each of the objects that you decide to create, if you create 8 objects, you're going to need to declare 8 variables. So I declared these 4 variables, and now I can write my first piece of code. So I'm going to start this code with sub and then name the code. So this code is going to be called water, and once I type that in, it creates this place where I can start writing my code. The first thing I'm going to write is water var equals 1. Okay. So basically what this code will be used for is when we click on the water bottle on slide 2, we want the water icon and word answer choice to appear on slide 3. And so we are saying that this variable is equal to 1 now. And later I'll create an if-then statement that if water var is equal to 1, these 2 objects can appear as an answer choice. And I can put that in here as well. So when user clicks on water on slide 2. Okay, so now the water var is equal to 1. And I'm going to make this water bottle disappear when they click on it. So to do that, I'm going to write I'm going to write active presentation dot slides 2, because we're making the water disappear on slide 2. And the shapes, so which object are we making disappear? Well, over here I called it water, so we're just going to type water. And then we're going to make it, we're changing its visibility, and we're going to make that equal to false. Okay, so this is our first piece of code. And we're going to Whoops. What did I do? Oh, I see. Got that period. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this sub for all 4 variables. So I'm going to copy this, and click enter, and paste it. Enter, paste it, enter, paste it. And I'm going to change it for each of the different objects. So now I've created these 4 different subs, pieces of code, and each of them will make are for the second slide when the user clicks on the object. Okay, so the next piece of code we're going to write is for this arrow that I'm going to make right now because I forgot. This will be the back arrow. So this arrow will go back to slide 2. This arrow will go to slide 3. And this arrow right here is going to check all of their work. And if it's correct, it'll send them to slide 4. So I'm going to also rename these arrows. So now the next piece of code I'm going to make is for a sub that I'm going to call continue. So right now in this sub called continue, we're working on this continue arrow on slide 2. So what this arrow has to do is it has to identify which objects the user clicked on and display the answer choices for the objects that they clicked on. And how it's going to do this is because every time that the user clicked on an object, we changed the variable to 1. So when they clicked on the water variable became 1. When they clicked on the flashlight variable became 1. Canned food, the canned food variable became 1. When they clicked on the whistle, its variable became 1. So the computer will just have to identify if the variable is equal to 1. And so I'm going to make a comment so you know what I'm doing. So here we are telling the computer which answer choices to display on slide 3 based on which objects the user clicked on. Okay? So to do this, we're going to create an if-then statement. So we're going to say if water var is equal to 1, then. So if the water variable is equal to 1, then do this. And the water variable is only equal to 1 when the user clicks on the water on slide 2. So we're going to tell the computer to then display the water answer choice. Actually, I guess I'll write it. So we're going to write active presentation slides 3 shapes and we called these shapes water and water choice. So shapes, water, and we're going to make them visible. So we're going to say true. Then we're going to write this piece of code again, but for the other shape we want visible. So now we have created this one if-then statement. And so we're going to copy this if-then statement for each of our 4 objects. So I'm going to copy this and paste it, and this time I'm going to change it to flashlight. So now we have completed all 4 variables that the continue button will check for. And so when it sees that these variables are equal to 1, it'll display these answer choices, and if they are not equal to 1, it won't display the answer choice. So now we are going to work on the next sub. And so this sub is going to be coding for the finish arrow, which is this arrow right here that I called finish. And so what finish has to do is it has to check if the value in this box is correct. And how it's going to do that is it's going to compare the value in this box to the value in these text boxes that we made on the right here. And we created them off the slide so that the computer can still read them, but the user cannot use them. So how we are going to do this is if we're going to create a new sub called sub finish. I'm going to scroll down. This one will have long lines of code. The line will be really long, but it's actually pretty simple. So we're going to create another if-then statement. So we're going to say if user answer is equal to correct answer. So to do this, we're going to write if active presentation dot slides 3, because that's the one we're working on right now, and shapes, and we're going to check what we called this shape. So we called this shape flashlight underscore answer. So water underscore answer, and we're going to write OLE format dot object dot value is equal to the correct answer. And where is the correct answer? The correct answer, we called it water underscore CA. So we're going to write active presentation dot slides 3 dot shapes water underscore CA dot text frame dot text range. Okay, so we have this piece of code. If user answer is equal to correct answer. And so now we don't just want the computer to check the water question. We want the computer to check for all 4 answers. So in order to do that, instead of placing then like we did previously, if then and then that's it, we're going to say and. So when I type this and we're going to copy what we just said here, but we're going to change it for flashlight. So where's our and? I don't like having this many long lines of code if I can help it, but I can't. So I have and here. So now we're going to change this for flashlight answer, and if that has to be equal to flashlight correct answer, then we're going to add another and this time we're going to say canned food answer has to be equal to canned food correct answer. And then we're going to add a last and, paste it again, and this time it's going to have to be whistle. So the whistle answer has to be equal to whistle correct answer. And then at the very end, we have to make sure to type then. So now we have this long statement that checks all of our answers. So if the water is correct, the flashlight's correct, the canned food is correct, and the whistle is correct, then we'll create a message box that says correct. Good job. And then we're going to send them to the next slide. Okay. Else, this means if anything is wrong. If water doesn't match the correct answer, if flashlight doesn't match the correct answer, if canned food doesn't match the correct answer, or whistle does not match the correct answer, then follow this code. So we're telling the computer, then display a message box that says incorrect. And then we have to always make sure we end our if statement. Okay, so we only have one more button to code, and that is our start button. So I'm going to start a new sub called start. And so this button is this start game button here. And why do we have to code the start game button? Well, we have to reset everything that the user inputted. So it's going to be a lot of like resetting, basically. We're going to start off by setting our variables once again equal to 0. So these variables, as I mentioned before, they help the computer identify if the user clicked on them in the messy room. So on this substart, we're going to make all of those variables equal to 0. Next, we are going to make all of the answer choices disappear. So to do that, I'm just going to be copying what I wrote up here. Next, we are going to make the words reappear in these 4 boxes and make the words disappear in these 4 boxes. So and all that is done. So now we're just going to give the users instructions and send them to game. Okay, so I created the message box with the instructions and the code for the presentation to move on to the next slide. So now I think that I am done writing code. I'm going to add the code to the specific buttons. So I only have to add it to a couple of elements on the screen. So to do that, I'm going to click on an element, go to the Insert tab and the Action button, and then Run Macro, and I choose the macro that I want to run. And I'm going to do this for all the objects on slide 2, the Start button on slide 1, and the arrows. Okay, and for this back arrow on slide 3, I'm going to hyperlink it to the previous slide. There's no code that runs with that. And for the good job on slide 4, I'm just going to make it end the show. Okay, so let's try our code out. So I'm going to go into full screen and select start game, and the instructions pop up, and when I click OK, I'm sent to the messy room. And just for the sake of trying it out, let's try without selecting any objects. So I'm going to click on the black arrow, and no answer choices have shown up. So when I click on the back arrow, let's say I select the water bottle, and as you can see, it disappears. And when I click on the next black arrow, the water answer choice has appeared, and I can drag it into the correct box. So let's go back and select some more objects, like the canned food, the flashlight, and the whistle. And when I go into the next arrow, the other 3 answer choices have appeared, and the water has remained moved. So I'm going to move the rest of the objects. And when I click on the next arrow, it shows that I have correctly answered the questions. And so it sends me to the next slide. And when I click on good job, it exits the PowerPoint presentation. So that means that all our code has worked. And so just so we can see if the reset button works as well, I can click on start game again and escape, and you'll notice that the boxes are empty. One thing I want to show you before you send this minigame to your participants is to disable the arrow keys and the navigation down here. So using these arrows, a user could navigate between the slides and skip minigames that they think are too difficult or do not want to do. So when you go into the slideshow tab under setup slideshow, if you select kiosk mode, the user will no longer be able to use these navigation arrows or click on the slide or use the arrow keys. They will only be able to use the navigation that you have set into your presentation. And so that is our game. We created this using VBA code, and as I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to be giving you all this code, and I did create these little comments in green so that you know what each line of code is doing, so that when you go to edit this, you can easily make edits to the code without messing it up, and so you know exactly what you are changing when. So I hope that this video was useful and it made sense. As always, if you have any questions whatsoever, you can submit them in the contact form on the A Better Place website at sereneharoon.com/abetterplace. And I will try to answer those questions and get back with you as soon as possible. I hope that you liked this video. Make sure to share, like, subscribe, and watch the next episode in the podcast, episode 5, where I will be explaining the question and answer session. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.